Well, hello there, everyone. Happy Friday night. It is very late on Friday, November 12th, moving into November 13th, 2021. Let's talk about Friday night hockey real quick, and then we're going to talk about college basketball. Boy, do we have a tremendous amount to discuss tonight. Really excellent night for the algorithm so far, and I just have so many things to say about it because it is a pretty amazing algorithm. But first, let's talk about hockey, and let's talk about just kind of accepting reality. So, I'm a hockey player and an avid hockey fan, and I can tell you that in the game of hockey, there just are bounces. And bounces create goals or they stop goals, things hit the post, and just there are so few goals in a game of hockey that one bounce can determine the outcome of a game. And it's different from a sport like college basketball or basketball, where you have total points in the range of 60s, 70s, 80s, 100s sometimes, right here in actual scores. The bounce, that doesn't go in only results in 2 or 3 points not scored, not one goal, which is half the game or something sometime. So it makes sense to me mathematically that the bounces impacting a game like hockey, and obviously even a game like football or soccer, as we call it in America, that bounces are going to matter, and it makes hockey extremely difficult to pick. And while we had a 3-2 day today, our number one pick went down in Edmonton, and our number 4 pick went down in Carolina, which I think was actually the number 2 pick before the scores came in. And it's so difficult to predict that I just have to kind of submit that the game is also about money lines, really, because something like Philadelphia at a plus 168 wins tonight. And if you play like Calgary and Philly, you almost win with Calgary. They lose in overtime. Arizona plus 1.5 wins, but they don't win the game. It's a lot of interesting plays you can have with lines. And what happened in the round robin that I discussed in the second video today is Edmonton lost and Carolina lost. I threw Carolina on there at the end, but I'll leave it on there for now for simulation purposes while we talk about everything else. But it just shows you that hockey, I don't run around. You never hear me really talking when I do the hockey algorithms and saying, hey, send me money for the hockey algorithm. You're going to win. I don't say that when it comes to the hockey algorithm because it's something I do for enjoyment and to try to get it to be predictive, but I've always struggled with this one. It's extremely tough. So just know that going in that hockey is a game that is about the bounces a lot, and you just can't let it get you down. It's very difficult to predict. But on that note, we will move over to college basketball, which is not a game that's difficult to predict. It's a game that's really easy to predict. And boy, oh boy, is the algorithm showing that. So we're at 11:30ish p.m. on the East Coast. We're going to remove the in-progress games out of what we're looking at. So we're just going to look at games that have already completed for the day. We are 48-18 on win-loss. And just look at the strings of wins. There's one loss in the first 26 games. You're 25-1 on the top. Then we start to hit some problems, but guess what? Oh boy, are we going to have a discussion. Guess what? Where do we start to have losses? With away teams. Like I've told you is a difficulty. So there's a home bump to talk about. So let's first just go through what's already happened, right? Let's look at, like I said, our underdogs and our home underdogs, which I said are the best thing ever. The only thing that's showing up is Minnesota right now at a 0% bump. They, of course, won. Not a problem. We had them winning 76-69. They win 73-69 because the algorithm is absolutely incredible. They paid 140, I think I bet them today. Good for Minnesota, good for the algorithm. That was the only really home one that was still sitting on here. We have away underdogs, but we're at 0 bump right now. Now, I want to talk about some things. So let's look at just the away games for a second. Let's look at the home games for a second. Just our home games on the list that are so far completed tonight. And we still have how many that aren't done. We have 8 that are still going on, including Pepperdine, which is one of our picks. Now, just looking at the home teams, we go 42-5. Even 31-15 on the spread somehow. Amazing, right? I mean, that's just astonishing. This is without any home bump whatsoever. So I like to look at this where I call it the neutral site projection, where what if these two teams were playing at somebody else's arena and they weren't at home? Who would win the game? That's what we're looking at, because supposedly there is a home bump that matters. So this is fantastic. You start doing days of 42-5. You can see that there are no underdog lines here anywhere, but still a ton of wins. Well, what about the away games at no bump, right? 6-13. Where are our losses? The answer is basically everywhere. So these margins go as high as 33%. So get this. So if you put a 34% margin on here, what happens? 34% home bump. What happens? You end up going 55-11 if you just bet on every single home team and did not care. That's empirically the smartest thing to have done this entire day. And you would have caught a few underdogs, right? How many underdogs were on here? Look at this. You would have caught, of 9 underdogs, you would have caught 5, including including a 480 with Chicago State over Southern Illinois and a 570 in Ohio State over Southern Utah. Amazing. And that's with that's with a 34% home bump, meaning you just take every home team. You would have done really well. I mean, talk about the secret about college basketball is the home team situation. So, we did a lot of good things with projected scores. I'm not going to spend a ton of time going over it, but I am going to say that the picks that we talked about today, and also, some of these projected scores were just amazing. I was starting to compare. When you look over here, what the projected were to what the finals were, you want to see colors that are the same. And some of the bigger games with huger spreads, I wouldn't expect them to get those right because that's really distorted stuff. But let's see where it gets good. Stuff like 90-64, 89, 57. I don't know. I felt when I was entering them in by hand, I can tell you that they really showed some interesting things, and it felt very, very good. So, all right. So here's what I'm going to say. So the picks we talked about in the round robin were Minnesota, VMI plus 2.5, UNC Greensboro plus 6.5, Pepperdine, BYU. I can tell you BYU won 60-66. UNC Greensboro won this game in overtime by a point. How about that? We didn't even need their 6.5. VMI lost in overtime by a point, so they covered. But guess what I did on my actual bet that I made? I took VMI without the points because their line changed. Their line moved from plus 1 something to minus 110, probably because we did a video, unfortunately. So I ended up getting VMI to win and they lost, so I lost on my round robin because I have the worst luck imaginable. But Minnesota won. So these are fantastic picks, especially if Pepperdine wins. Hopefully they will. I think they were up like 67-64 or something, maybe. Let's see. What's the score? Pepperdine college basketball score. Let's see if Google Smart figures it out. Right now, they're winning 56-49. They're up by 7 with 5 minutes left. Hopefully, they'll win, and hopefully, this bet is a profitable bet for you. Hopefully, if you didn't listen to me about Carolina because I was really touchy about them, and you did something else, even $42 worth or whatever that is, you still make a lot more getting that hockey off there. Hockey is tough, everybody. So, all right. So, what else is going on? I'll update the rest of this. I am helping a friend move tomorrow. There's a house moving going on tomorrow, so I'm going to be busy all day. I know that everyone's going to strangle me if I don't do this for tomorrow because I'm sure there's like 8,000 games, and I can do it fairly quickly. But there's a lot of work I'd really like to do when it comes to getting the standings accurate for this season because we've got problems with the Ivy League that didn't play last season. I'm doubling up player stats, which I don't like, and I have a ton of work I'd like to do, but it needs to mature. The season needs to mature slightly, so tomorrow will be a haphazard whatever that I get out. If you guys want to guilt me into working on it more, I do accept money. I will take your money via my PayPal account at kenstalk@live.com. I'll take crypto, whatever it is. If Coinbase accepts it, I'll take it. Just tell me. And it will encourage me to work on this more because I'm not going to really be betting anymore. I got a ton of moving like washers and dryers to do. All right. So anyway, I'm really happy with what college basketball did today, and you should be too. We'll discuss what we're going to do with the home bump going forward. It's not always going to be like that where a universal home bump makes the best games of the day, but in a day like today and at the start of the season here, as everything is just haywire, apparently it did. And pretty amazing stuff when you really start to dig into it. All right, so good luck, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow for a quick video of everything, and then may all your picks be winning.